I used to believe I was the luckiest woman alive, loved deeply, protected fiercely, chosen completely, until the night I realized I had been sharing my bed with a stranger whose entire life was a lie. What I thought was the safest relationship of my life was actually a carefully constructed psychological trap designed to isolate me, control me, and slowly erase who I was. This isn't a story about a breakup or a mistaken love. It's about the terrifying moments when you discover that the person you trusted most never existed at all. Stay with me, because I'm about to expose how my perfect relationship became the most dangerous illusion of my life. From the very beginning, everything felt unreal in the best possible way, the kind of love story people envy and secretly wish was theirs. He appeared in my life at the perfect time, saying all the right things, sharing the same dreams, the same values, even the same long-term plans I had never told anyone else out loud. It felt like fate, like I had finally met someone who truly saw me, understood me, and wanted to build a future exactly like the one I had imagined. He showered me with attention, not just affection, but constant validation, making me feel admired, chosen, and emotionally essential in his life. Every message was thoughtful, every date was planned to perfection, every compliment felt personal and sincere, and I mistook that intensity for deep love, when in fact it was a strategy. Slowly, almost invisibly, my world began to narrow without me noticing the walls forming around it. He encouraged me to spend more time with him and less time everywhere else, framing it as romance, as commitment, as us building something special together. Friends became bad influences, family concerns were labeled as jealousy, and any outside opinion that didn't align with his was gently dismissed as unnecessary noise. When he questioned my choices, he called it concern. When he monitored my time, he called it protection. And when he discouraged my independence, he framed it as teamwork. I didn't feel controlled, I felt cherished. And that's what made the illusion so dangerous. Over time, I began doubting my own instincts, deferring to his judgment, trusting his version of reality over my own, because someone who loved me this much couldn't possibly be manipulating me, or so I believed. The love felt warm, safe, and intoxicating, but without realizing it, I was slowly giving up my autonomy, my voice, and my sense of self, all in the name of a relationship that looked flawless from the outside. If you've ever felt swept away by someone who seemed almost too perfect, like and subscribe, because the cracks always start where you least expect them. The change didn't happen overnight. It crept in quietly, disguised as misunderstandings, small arguments, and moments that left me feeling unsettled without knowing why. I started noticing inconsistencies in his stories, details that didn't quite align, unexplained absences, and conversations that abruptly stopped when I entered the room. When I asked questions, he didn't get angry. He got calm, almost amused, telling me I was imagining things, overthinking, letting anxiety ruin something beautiful. Every concern I raised was turned back on me, framed as insecurity, emotional instability, or a lack of trust. And over time, I began questioning my own memory, my own logic, even my own sanity. This is how gaslighting works, not through shouting or threats, but through quiet certainty that makes you feel foolish for doubting someone who sounds so sure of himself. He became the center of my emotional universe, the person I checked in with before making decisions, the one who interpreted reality for me when things felt confusing. Meanwhile, my relationships with others deteriorated, not because I wanted them to, but because it felt easier to stay silent than defend myself against his subtle character assassinations. He painted others as untrustworthy, dramatic, or harmful to our relationship, reinforcing the idea that only he truly cared about me. The more isolated I became, the more power he gained, and the more difficult it felt to imagine life without him. Fear replaced excitement, confusion replaced clarity, and love slowly transformed into emotional dependency. I wasn't living in a partnership anymore. I was navigating a psychological maze where every path led back to him. I could feel myself shrinking, becoming quieter, more cautious, afraid to ask questions that might disrupt the fragile peace he controlled so effortlessly. Subscribe now if you've ever felt trapped in a relationship that made you doubt yourself more than it made you feel loved. The truth revealed itself in the most ordinary moment. On a quiet afternoon when I was cleaning a space he never allowed me to touch, a closet he claimed held nothing important. Hidden beneath old boxes, I found evidence that stopped my heart. Documents, identification cards, and photographs that didn't belong to the life I knew. Different names, different addresses, and then the image that broke everything. Him standing beside another woman, holding children who looked at him with the same trust I once did. In that moment, the weight of reality crashed down on me, and I understood that the man I loved was not just dishonest, he was a carefully constructed persona, a professional deceiver living multiple lives. Every memory replayed in my mind with new meaning, every tender moment now tainted by the knowledge that it was rehearsed, performed, and strategically designed to secure my loyalty. When confronted, the mask finally fell, revealing someone cold, calculating, and disturbingly detached. A stranger who viewed relationships as tools for control rather than connections built on love. Walking away was terrifying, not because I loved him, but because I had to rebuild an identity that had been slowly dismantled. Healing meant reclaiming my voice, trusting my instincts again, and accepting that the most dangerous betrayals are the ones hidden beneath perfection. I survived a relationship that was never real, escaped a psychological prison disguised as love, and learned that true safety doesn't come from intensity or obsession, but from honesty, respect, and freedom. If this story resonated with you, like, subscribe, and remember this: love should never make you disappear.